Now we are jumping from user-generated content to the question of events. Conferences and events will look different in the future. We are all quite sure about that. Organizers and attendees will embrace and expect innovative solutions. And I think we are revealing something very interesting now in the next 20 minutes. Just introducing David Chalmers. He's been for over 20 years in the B2B marketing. He's a senior marketing director for Europe at Cvent. Do I got Cvent? I got Cvent. Cvent, a leading cloud-based enterprise event management platform with more than 14,000 customers worldwide. Now, enjoy.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So I think the subject of the day is largely digital and online publishing. And I think having worked for a long time in technology for events, but also having spent quite a long time as a head of digital marketing, I've spent a lot of time looking at how we can take some of the digital techniques and practices and bring them into the live experience, both to enhance the attendee experience during the live event experience itself, but also to really try and connect your live events with digital and with online. And I think the previous speaker talked a lot about user-generated content as an example. And that's certainly something that live events is a really powerful way of creating a lot of interesting experiences which people want to share and people want to create content for. And we'll look at some of the technologies that people are using during live events, which allows you to take that live experience and bring it back into the digital environment and connect the two. So I think you'll find, I've heard a lot of sessions this morning about different technologies, and I think the biggest theme that I've seen from most of the sessions already is mobile and video. And I think this kind of is an example of what people see when they go to live events these days. If you take a live concert, you see everybody's using their mobile phone. They're using their mobile phone to take photographs, to record video, and so on. And actually, I've seen quite a lot of people here in the session with their mobile phones, taking pictures of the slides and kind of interacting with the event through that mobile. And I think those are the two biggest technology trends that are really changing how people are experiencing live events. I think this doesn't really need to be said to this audience, probably, but I think the simple reality is that most people have smartphones today. And it's not only the millennials who have smartphones. It's also very specifically all the generations. And the baby boomers, which is the older generation, I think I'm getting close to that level now, they're also using smartphones very effectively, but are more likely to engage with their smartphone, more likely to engage with content on their smartphone, and specifically video content on their smartphone. And we find that a lot of people are using their smartphones specifically not only to capture the experience, but also to share the experience. So I'll show some examples of how people are doing that to bring that into their events. And I think that one of the big trends from a publishing perspective excuse me, is that people are really very specifically taking some of the digital capabilities of mobile and social and video and bringing them into the live event, both the organizers of the events and the attendees of the events. And this is really looking at ways in which we can use some of those technologies to really enhance the experience of the event itself, but then also to take the event and to share that event digitally through different media. These three tech trends are really not just the trends in technology, so I don't want to talk just about specific technologies, but really look at what are people doing with these technologies to change the way events are delivered and to change the way that people engage with the events. So creating a memorable experience, there's lots of technologies which can be more interesting than just watching a guy on a stage presenting some slides, and there's some examples of that. I think also personalization has been a big topic of the conference, and I think it's a big topic for the whole conference. And there's lots of ways in which you can use technology to capture data about your attendees to allow you to personalize the experience for the attendees in a much more powerful way. I think I heard in two of the previous sessions people talking about how people want to have a much more personalized experience, and using these technologies in the context of an event and capturing data in a way that is actually really very challenging from a digital experience, from an online experience. And it's certainly something that I spent a lot of time running digital, trying to get as much information about these people as possible so that I could create personalized online experiences. And we now have the technologies available in an event context to allow you to capture lots of data to really deliver much more personal engagement, personal interaction with the event, rather than just a generic, everybody in the audience experiences the same thing. And then again, video, I think, is a standard common theme these days. Everybody's looking at it from an online publishing perspective. We heard it just in the previous session. And that's something that's really, from a live event experience, video is the best way in which you can capture the live event experience and also allow people to share that video content online through digital and through social channels so that you can really amplify the reach of your events and what people are doing. So I think, how many people have experienced Google Cardboard yet? This is the high-powered digital audience. It's all very familiar to you. So this is something that's really kind of consumerizing, if you like, the whole virtual reality experience. And something that used to be a very high-cost, high-investment capability is now becoming much more mainstream in people's lives. And there's lots of different ways in which people are using virtual reality just generally in the world, and I think in the events world, virtual reality is something that's becoming a much more common technology and a much more affordable technology for people to really personalize what they're doing with events. This is an example, which I hope is going to play. No. It won't play. This is supposed to be a video that you're going to get to play. So this is a company in the context of exhibitions where people have a very large, very complex environment that they want to share in an exhibition. And in the past, people used to have to build very expensive stands and put lots of expensive equipment on there. There's all kinds of examples with this. But this was a brewing company, and the video isn't playing now for some reason. But what it would show is that this brewing company wanted to take it beyond just experiencing their beers and get these very passionate microbrewery, real ale enthusiasts to really experience how they produce their beers. And they took a virtual reality concept to take a 360 recording of their video, of their production facilities, so that people could see how the beers are made and get a much more kind of direct connection with what they do with that. This is one of my favorite examples of an event that we had recently, which was a live charity event where people were fundraising for the water charity. So it's a charity where people give drinking water to lots of third world countries and developing countries. And they, after dinner, gave people the VR headsets, and then they allowed them to experience very directly, firsthand, the life of a 13-year-old girl in Africa to see how she has to go through the process of getting fresh water for her family. And I think that this is very much about creating a much more emotional attachment to these kind of things. So you can talk about the stats, you can show some pictures and stuff, but when they were totally immersed in this 360 experience and a fully kind of personalized engagement in the experience, they found they got, I think it was like a 3x almost increase in the charity donations that they were getting from the event. So it was just a very simple way of making the story of what they were trying to sell from the charity much more powerful and much more effective. Another example, which we're looking to use in our event context for doing much more exciting and engaging personal invites to events to get people engaged, cut through the noise of the normal kind of email stuff that everybody gets. And this is an example from KitKat, who in Japan, apparently, kitokato means you will succeed, in a loose translation. And people in the old days used to send KitKats to students before their exams to wish them luck and to help them succeed. And this is a video that shows how they took a hologram just through a mobile app, and then they allowed them to have a much more engaged experience with that.
Kit Mail Hologram. Special KitKats sold at post offices nationwide before entrance exams that people can handwrite supportive messages and send them to examinees living far away. Inside the package is a pyramid screen along with the KitKat. Just by setting this screen on your smartphone and playing the designated music video on YouTube, the artist comes to life as a 3D hologram, collaborating with the artist group Dish, who have strong relevance with students.
So this just showed you how they were able to get a much more engaging interaction through a very simple app through the mobile phone, which just required a very small, inexpensive plastic item. Imagine using this for your next event, or imagine using this to have people interact with your presentation session during a conference. It's very, very simple to do, and it's very low cost these days. And I think it's just a way of taking what's happening in the world and looking at how you can apply this to your event experience itself, and be much more dynamic, much more engaging, much more interacting, just using a mobile phone and a little plastic pyramid. In a more practical sense, we have lots of the mainstream social media channels are now incorporating this kind of augmented reality, where you can add in different things which are layered on top of just the thing that you see through your phone, through various markers. Imagine this one just being played with your sponsors. So when you're looking around, you see your sponsors' logos everywhere. Or perhaps in a more practical sense, take it on a bigger scale, and this is an example, obviously, again, with a consumer in a public space, where they took a much, much more large-scale video, so not just confined to the mobile phone, and then added in an augmented reality interaction through this screen at the bus shelter, so that people could see a different experience of the world. I'll let this play, because I really enjoy this one. And so this was just an advertising technique that was taken into the live environment. Obviously, it's just a bit of fun, but it was a really great way of grabbing attention. And this was a hugely successful campaign that just used very simple augmented reality technology, just on a very large scale. And you can start to think about, if you have these screens in your event, in the context of your event, the kinds of things that you can do, not necessarily to scare people with UFO invasions and animals attacking people, but think about how you could apply that to your event and really bring that into making a more engaging and a more kind of interactive experience. In a very more practical sense, augmented reality we're using in the context of large trade shows and so on. So through a mobile app, people can have an interactive map, and they can get wayfinding with navigation assistance to help them find the way they want to go. I know certainly for me, when I go to very large trade shows, it's a bit of a nightmare to find anybody you want to see, but this can do interactive mapping. It can even do planning a route around to find all of the exhibitors that you want to see. And then within that, you can add in augmented reality hotspots so that you can see individuals if you have augmented reality spots on people's badges, so you can see who the VIPs are and it can tell you who they are. Or you could perhaps apply that to exhibitors so that they can look around the room and they can find where the exhibitors are that they want to experience. Holograms is another kind of video technology, which actually I used quite a long time ago. I think it was more than 10 years ago when I took a conference in India where our CEO wanted to do a keynote presentation, and he wasn't able to travel during that time due to schedule conflicts. And so we brought the CEO on stage with a live person on the stage, and they had a very normal live interaction on the stage just through hologram technology. Now, this was like very leading edge when I did it. But nowadays, hologram technology is becoming much more straightforward and much more interesting in terms of how you can use it to bring speakers who can't participate in the event physically, or to do other more interesting things through the event. So then the next biggest trend, which is, again, we heard it before in this session, personalization is not just something we're trying to do online. It's not just something we're trying to do with our content on our publications, on our websites, and so on. But it's something we can do very simply during the context of an event because of the amount of personal data we can capture. So we can capture now everything that people do at events. When you apply the technology from pre-registration to checking people in, to tracking what sessions they attend and tracking the exhibitors that they engage with or the things that they do with exhibitors, as well as getting interaction from questions and polling and Q&A through mobile apps and the like. This allows you to do a lot in terms of making the experience of the event much more personal, so much more individual when people are interacting with the event, so we're not just all having the same experience when we attend. In a very simple way, we're not doing this here, and in fact I need to speak to the organisers. There's a lot of things that they're not doing here, which I think we will be doing next year, is my plan. But just scanning people so you know who went to which sessions. Just in the capturing of who went to which sessions, the follow-up conversations and communications you have with the people who attend can be much more personal about the things that they experienced during the event. It's really that simple. Rfid technology is a less invasive capability, which again, lots of these technologies have been around for a long time, but they're becoming much more affordable and much more likely to be able to be incorporated into your event budgets and so on. RFID, these are RFID mats, which can track people going in and out of the session, so you don't have to interrupt the flow. And if you have lots of people going in and out, it's a much more speedy way. And it's now to 98, 90% accuracy, so you know who went to which session. And you can put RFID places and detectors as kind of arches over doorways instead of the mats, or you can put them on exhibition stands. So if you have a large exhibition stand, you can see what different elements of the stand that people went to. So it's a really nice way and becoming a much more affordable way for you to really understand what people are doing throughout the whole of your event and everything they do. And think about that compared to what you're trying to do with capturing data and tracking people on a website. I think my big kind of mantra these days is that events are just like a really, really powerful website, in that people are coming there and they're doing lots of things, and we can now track everything they do and be much more kind of metrics orientated, but much more capturing the personal data of the people so that we can have much more individual conversations with those people in everything they do within the event, but also everything we do to talk to them after the event, which I think is one of the most important things from a publishing perspective, in that you do these events, as far as I understand, to make more money, perhaps from what you're making on your publishing, but it can also then be brought back into your publishing environment so that you know those people, and then you're able to continue that personalization. Other ways in which we can personalize during the live event is beacons. So iBeacons use blue technology, and you can do location-based communications with people. So it's not just about who you are, but it's who you are and where you are and what you're doing. And so you're allowed to send them very personal notifications about the session that they're about to attend, or you can send them a notification to say, please fill in this survey real time as soon as they're in the event or leaving the event. And we now have video-enabled beacons, which is one of my favorite things. If anyone's seen the Minority Report movie, where people get a very personal interaction with a video screen, this is a company called Emoticon, I think, who now have a product called Mirror. So you have digital screens which are no longer just pushing up digital notifications throughout the event, but they can react with you as you approach the video screen, and you can get very personalized stuff about, here's your agenda, here's your next session, this is where you need to go, or tell them things that you know about them based on their registration profile. And this is just kicking off now, and is going to get more and more affordable, but more and more useful in terms of how we have much more personalized signage in terms of interacting with people. Airports are using this quite a lot at the moment, so you can walk into an airport now, and instead of searching on a million flights for your flight, you walk up to the screen, it says your flight's here, go to this gate, and then maybe even shows you a map to where to go to, and so on. Very simple techniques which are being used. Again, the event here doesn't have a mobile app, unfortunately. I'll try to fix that for you all next time. But polling during sessions makes it much more interactive as well. So instead of just sitting here listening to me talking on and on and on, I could have polling so that I could interact with the audience, I could understand what you're interested in, and then I could personalize it even on an audience level to make sure that I'm talking about the things that you're interested in by getting the feedback real time from you as we interact. Q&A is another one. We have microphones here. I much prefer a mobile app where people can post their questions through the mobile app. You can even moderate the sessions. You can see here that the moderator can decide which questions are going to be passed to me so that I can answer questions from the audience, and then we don't have to wait 2 minutes for everybody to pass the mic around. And then people who are perhaps too shy to ask questions can ask questions, or people who often stand up and talk for a very long time asking a question that nobody else is really interested in, you can moderate that out of the Q&A. So all of these things are allowing people to get much more personalized engagement with the presentation sessions itself and with the speaker. Gamification is another one, which is about giving them a personal experience to try and set lots of challenges so that they can interact with the event, and you can post points and make prizes and have leaderboards and stuff. So it's another way of getting people very personally engaged in how they're engaging with the event itself. And this is one of our clients did a really nice piece integrating with Fitbit, so taking a kind of a wearable technology, integrating that with the mobile app so that they could track the steps that they made during the event as a way of kind of fundraising for a charity and making donations for the winners for the steps that they took around the event. One of the simplest and the most straightforward is networking, and I think at this conference we all had the opportunity to book meetings perhaps with people on the website before we came. You can have this in the mobile app as well, so you can show all of the attendees in the mobile app. You can even make recommendations about these are other people who are from a similar job or a similar company or a similar publisher to you, and then you can make interactions with them to communicate with them live at the event, so you're not randomly hoping to bump into some people that you might be interested in talking to. And you can even book one-to-one appointments, as we did on the website before this event, to then bring that back into the session. I'll quickly run through, because I'm running out of time now. Video is the big thing that I'm seeing everywhere in all the sessions. And video is something that is not just about enhancing the experience for people, but as you know, more and more people are using smartphones to share video. And we have capabilities like live stream, where I've been doing this to broadcast these kinds of sessions live on the event so that we can get to a much wider audience, to reach the audiences that aren't physically able to make it there. There's even technology now where you don't need all of this expensive AV setup. This Mevo live stream capability allows you to broadcast from an event and do real-time editing through an app, so that you can have very good quality live broadcasts edited through the app. And of course, social media, as we all know, are all bringing in video now, and I think I heard other references to live streaming through Facebook or through Snapchat and other media, and all of them are bringing in live video. So effectively, your attendees become your broadcasters, so they're broadcasting all of the content from the event and really helping to promote and to really amplify the impact of your event. These are some examples of major events where they were tracking how much video was used and consumed and shared, and their audiences compared to the live event itself, as you can see, were vast and much, much bigger. Drones is another one, which I'll skip on. It's just another way of showing a different perspective on video. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, the most relevant technology trends and ways in which people are using technology to change the way they experience their event, to change the way people engage with their event, and to really make it a much more personalized experience. Thank you.
One very quick question. What keeps companies maybe still from investing heavily in the technique you offer? Is it costs? What is it?
Historically, it's been costs. It's also about the extra work involved in adding the technology, because it's an extra thing for the event team to do. But I think all of these technologies have been around for a long time, and the reason they're so relevant now is because they're becoming very, very cheap and affordable. Like all of these things with VR is like 200, 300 pounds or euros to do that kind of thing, and that makes all the difference.
You stay here?
Yes.
Okay, we can connect analogically with you.
Yeah.
Okay, over
I'll
to
be
Days.
here if you
Thank
want
you
to
very
ask
much.
more questions.
Thank you very much, David. We are now, the applause is for you.